How's it going, everybody? And welcome to your April 2021 horoscope for Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius rising. Yes, this is for your rising sign, not your sun sign. Please watch this for your rising sign. Anyway, thank you guys so much for being here, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing. I love and appreciate every single one of you. If this is your first time on my channel, my name is Cam White. Super excited you guys can be here with me today. Before you skip to your sign, I just want to say this is I'm coming back and doing monthly horoscopes again. I'm doing it in a new style. This is going to be much more straight to the point. Not really talking too much about the transits. I do a weekly horoscope, you guys should know. And I go much more in depth about the transits in that weekly horoscope. And this monthly horoscope is meant to be watched, I guess, in tandem with my weekly, because I'll be going week by week in these monthly horoscopes. So, you guys can kind of get a feel with how each week is supposed to be for you, while also, being able to catch up with my weekly horoscope. But with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into it. All right, Gemini rising, week 1 of April. Your mental focus is really going to get shifted more towards, sorry, I'm playing with the microphone here. It's going to get more focused towards your friendships, your community, allies. You're going to be really actually engaging with a lot of your friends, being really social, really going about it in a very playful way. My advice is just, don't play too rough. I think at this time too, you're going to be a little on the edge, a little bit more feistier than normal, or, being able to spit a little bit more fire with your tongue than normal. So just be careful not to kind of unleash it, I guess, on your friends, or, just be more considerate, because I think it's going to be easy to kind of be a little stingy. Have fun at the end of the day, though, with your friends. Be social. You're going to pretty much feel really confused, though, throughout the whole week. Like with what you're doing with your life and what you're wanting to do, you're kind of putting your hands in all these different places, not really sure, what's going to be next, and things are going to be confusing. So don't make too many in the moment decisions, because that's pretty much going to fade away after the first week. So, you don't want to make decisions when everything's confusing. You're going to be making a lot more connections with people spiritually. You might even attract some teachers at this point, or you might be engaged more, at least with, a learning situation. And as the weekend ends and as week 2 starts, you really kind of get a new beginning when it comes to friends and your social life and your networks and everything. And as we get to week 2, like I said, we kind of end that weekend, start week 2 off, with a kind of a new start, a refreshing energy with your friends. However, once week 2 starts, you're really going to start to value your privacy. You're going to probably want to be more isolated, be more alienated, or at least just wanting to go and do things by yourself, maybe do things in secrecy too. This could just be getting more beauty sleep. You're going to do a lot of inner exploring, a lot of just kind of looking at, yourself, how you feel about things. I think things are going to feel pretty good. You're going to be kind of encouraged to take bigger, you're going to be kind of encouraged to take really big actions, which I think is really good. However, just be careful that you're not biting off more than you can chew at this time, because, again, the same, Mars and Gemini in the first house. You're very active at this moment, and you can be getting your hands. You're not an octopus. You only have 2 hands. You can only put your hands in so many things at once, right? I think you should do things very big at this point. Don't be afraid to go big, or at least to make bold actions. I guess I should just, if you're gonna bite it off, you got to chew the whole thing, is what I'm trying to say. So week 3 is really, sorry guys, I'm in my eyes, I'm talking about this. So week 3 is really kind of the main event of April. You guys actually have a lot going on. Things really get clear with where you stand with your friends and your community. If there's something that needs to be said, if there's something that needs to get addressed, this is you kind of start the week off with that conversation. So that looks really good. I mean, you guys like the conversation. You guys like the communication. That's Gemini rising stuff. So there will be no really mistaking what's going on there. But your personal and mental energy are really going to be drained at this point, and you're really going to want to go to be more private. You want to be more secluded. You're just going to want to really take a break and just be all right, let's take it easy. Let's put it on cruise control, essentially. The only thing is just try not to hide away in fear of stuff, or hide away because, you feel unstable, or you feel things are unstable. Don't do it for negative reasons, is what I'm trying to say. The area of your life that deals with subconscious, your subconscious beliefs about yourself, the area of your life that rules self-sabotage, the area of your life that rules isolation, alienation. There's going to be kind of a shakeup in this area. I don't know if it's going to be a good one or a bad one. And there's actually kind of a couple. And the first one looks good. So maybe it's like a spontaneous spa day or a spontaneous, you know what, like I'm just going to kind of go away. And it's also funny too, in week 3 at this point, you're going to be spending more money. So, I mean, it could literally just be like, you know what, I'm going to do this to take care of myself. You're going to be really only focusing on spending what you need. This might be a time also too where you focus on getting a tighter budget. You might need to, this also might be a time where you start making or having expenses that are much more needed, not necessarily like, oh, you're spending money because you have money, but it's much more, you're taking care of some business that you need to kind of wrap up. Now, by the end of the week, and going into the weekend, things are going to get kind of revealed to you that kind of challenge your way of thinking. And I think it's also going to really challenge your way of understanding things. So try not to let it overwhelm you. It is going to kind of shake up, but this is like what I was saying. There's some type of work it looks like that, you know, you're doing where it comes to understanding yourself on a deeper level. You know, regurgitating subconscious stuff, and it looks like there's something there for you to discover, and there's something for you to change there. It just also looks very like it's an interesting situation in week 3. So then we get to week 4, and when we, you know, kind of start the week, you get a solution, you figure it out. There's certain things that you just kind of have to do, and there's really no getting around it. But it's not the worst situation in the world. You know, you learn to adapt. But we end April with the full moon in Scorpio. And this is really going to be highlighting your schedule, what you do every single day. I think there's going to be, you know, where you're going to be more isolated, more alienated. You're going to be really comfortable. And I think this full moon in Scorpio is really going to highlight, you know, what do you really need to change in your schedule? What needs to get let go of? What is kind of causing more harm than it is good? I like to think of Scorpio too in this area. It's kind of like, you know, if you drive a really powerful car, like you need to take care of the engine. You need to put the best oil in it, put the best gasoline in it, take care of it. You know what I mean? And I think this full moon in Scorpio is very much like it's that oil's gunky. You know, maybe you're lagging a little bit. Maybe there needs to be a little bit of tune-up. I think it's going to be a time to change some habits. It's going to be difficult, but I think also too, this is going to be really constructive with work. This is going to be really constructive with employment. You're literally like laboring. I think this is good for money too, or at least like there's going to be something along the lines with your schedule and money that gets really, really brought up here. I'm not really sure how it's going to look though. You had a lot of problems that last week kind of showed you a lot of problems that you have to face, but it looks like the full moon's kind of like the time to really, you know, address that and to break free of it. So it really looks like, I mean, if we're going to wrap up April in general, April starts very social and then it ends very personal. So I think April's a pretty good month in the astrology. I'm not gonna lie. It just looks a little bit it's in uncomfortable places for you. So try to get the most out of you can this month. And with that being said, thank you guys for tuning in. All right, Libra rising, April 2021. The first week, or at least the first, you know, pretty much the first week of April, your mental energy is really going to be much more focused on relationships at this point. But isn't that the usual thing? You're going to be having more fun with people, exploring, you know, just engaged more with at least a specific individual, whether it's a relationship or someone new, or it's, you know, any really specific individual in your life. You're going to be really focused on this, right? At least mentally. I think the only thing is, as you're kind of exploring this new stimulation, don't get too rough with it. Don't get like too crazy with it. I think it's going to be easy to kind of go overboard with certain things. So just remember to, you know, go only 90%, maybe not 100%. There's a part of it where there's a part of this week where you're going to feel really uncertain about where you stand with this person, or about what this person's intentions are, or where, you know, you're going to be kind of like trying to read in between the lines. And I think you're going to get kind of lost in that. So just kind of expect a lot of time with this person, but also a lot of confusion at the same time. Enjoy it though, right? Once this week ends, there's going to be refreshing new start to relationships anyway, as we do get into week 2. Now, like I said, starting week 2, starting week 2, new kind of beginning in relationships, really, like at least a new refreshing energy in relationships, kind of closing out that weekend, starting the next week. And as you feel more like encouraged to kind of do more with this person, there's going to be a really big focus on, well, the best way to put it is there's going to be a lot of attention drawn towards other people's money. This could also look like receiving gifts from other people, buying things for other people. You might buy something for this person might buy something for you. There might be some type of transaction that's occurring at this moment. There's some type of, maybe even being taken care of in some way. There's just a big focus on the other person's possessions, on the other person's property, on what the other person is going on. This could even just be more tied up in their drama than anything. You might be buying something again. They might be buying something for you. You'll have a lot of value towards what they have. It should be kind of unexpected. Like, honestly, I wouldn't really, expect or see it coming. So also don't do anything that's too destabilizing. My question is, are you taking things too far? Doing things too big? Or are you enjoying, the thing is, there's a lot of going on, right? There's a lot of things going on. There's something that you're really getting out of this, but are you maybe taking things too far? Are things just going too fast, blowing too much out of proportion? I think there's an excitement to that. But there's also too just a question of like, hey, do you need to slow down? Do you need to reconsider some things? So then we get into week 3, and week 3 is really the big week of April. You really start the week, and you end the weekend, start the week with a clear line of communication with this person. Things get addressed, things get talked about, or at least, where you stand is clear for the most part. And your mental energy and your personal energy gets much more focused on, again, maybe that person's stuff. This whole transaction and money and other people's money it's still a thing that's coming up, right? Now, if that's not a thing that's really going on, what a general theme that you're going to feel like is just like overall anxiousness, maybe some anxiety, feeling like you're very out of your own element, like you don't necessarily know what's around the corner. But you're really, finding some stability, finding some, like, getting grounded now that you're kind of in this position. So it's going to feel a little weird. And you might have this, I guess, the feeling of general like anxiety or just, stubbornness too. That's going to pass. That's not going to last forever. Think of too, what usually happens during this time around the end of April, beginning of May. How do you usually feel? Because that's also something I just wanted to bring up, because you can kind of be able to recognize that. And as far as, things changing in your life, you going in a different direction, or being more focused on another person and what they have. Also during this week too, there might be some, unexpected stuff kind of happening with this other person's money or their possession. Some unexpected event kind of occurs. You might have issues at the workplace also starting this week, maybe more fights, maybe more conflicts, maybe people being more crabby and being upset. So that's going to be kind of annoying. And you kind of end the week with having to really define boundaries, which is really hard, because I think you're going to be very invested into this person, what they've got going on. And it's not that that's bad. It's that there needs to be, I guess, a line drawn or a boundary drawn. This doesn't look bad, but this does look, confrontational. It does look like it can end in a stalemate too. So just kind of be open to being solution oriented towards the relationships in your life by the time we, get to the end of week 3 of April. As we end the month, though, as we get to week 4 of April, really what highlights this is the full moon in Scorpio. And so this is really looking at what is yours, what is theirs, what do you have, what do you not have. This could be a very unexpected expense that comes up, maybe even this could potentially be something at work comes up where, I wouldn't say like you lose money, but maybe an accident occurs or something. This doesn't look like the funnest full moon. The full moon in Scorpio I don't think is ever really fun, but this doesn't look super super enjoyable. You might need to make a large transaction, make a last minute expense, which again, you could also just be buying something cool. Like, so it's not always really bad, but this is a big look at and a big distinction of what's yours, what's theirs, what do they have, what do you have, what do you have and what do you not have, and what needs to be separated, what needs to be cleared out, what needs to be examined, essentially. So April really looks, like, again, you're having fun with someone, you're really engaged with someone, really relationship focused at this point, which again, I mean, shouldn't be a shocker for you, Libra rising, but it looks like at the end of the month, maybe, things get a little bit too, high pressure. Maybe things go a little bit too far. It's going to be really just important to kind of examine, what's yours and what's theirs. And so things get kind of serious at the end. So try not to sweat it too much, but also enjoy it while it's there. This does look fun and promising for the most part. All right. April 2021 for Aquarius rising. Week 1, your mental energy is going to go from like being kind of like low and kind of in a slumber state to very, very active. Your mental energy is going to be really focused on just getting things done. What can you handle? It's going to kind of happen really fast too. And you're going to be much more focused on your day-to-day tasks, how you relate to your environment, focusing on your car, your siblings, your neighbors, possibly doing more recreation in your local area, whatever that looks like. The only thing is be careful what you spend. You may purchase something under the guise that, you want it or that it's better than it actually is. So I guess be careful with where exactly you're putting your money into. But by the end of the week, you're going to kind of like really kind of formulate a new mindset of how you really utilize what how you interact with your environment, your communication too. This is really going to be kind of like a leveling out and things kind of being much more calmer along the lines of short distance traveling, communication, siblings, and you're just going to be kind of really just drawn towards that area of your life much more than usual. Now, as we get into week 2, your ability to engage in communication at a much more, I guess, clear and blunt level is going to really kind of harbor a lot more creative energy for you and give you a lot more creative outlets to kind of work with. You're going to be enjoying much more of your home life and your private life, though, at this moment, and not necessarily, super socializing. But by the end of the week, you're probably going to be taking on a lot of recreational activities. And I think it's going to actually kind of instill a lot more confidence in you. I mean, you're feeling good right now, or at least you're starting to see a bigger version of yourself. And, getting into some type of form of self-expression, I think, is actually going to be really positive. I think it's going to be very invigorating and very lively. But again, you're also going to be enjoying much more, I think, peace and comfortability within the home life, too. So week 3 is also really kind of the main highlight of April. And you kind of start the week on a really clear level, right? Like you're going to be kind of like, all right, I know where I'm at. I know what I'm doing. Mentally, you're going to be on like a very, very clear. But you're, again, after that clarity, that's kind of like, how do you handle your routine? How are you interacting with your environment? Communication too. Once that clarity kind of passes, your mental and your personal energy gets much more focused on your home life, your family life. You're probably going to have something sporadic come up. This should be good. However, it could also be inconvenient. This could be doing something spontaneous with your living situation. Something unique or random might pop up that's like kind of good, but also a little destabilizing. If it looks good on the surface, I'd be a little wary, but it might also just be good, and I might just be like sketching you guys out. But also, you guys are skeptics anyway. Once we get to the middle of the week, though, of week 3, that's when you're going to kind of start feeling a little bit more sick or tired, or maybe you're putting too much on your schedule and you really need to like prioritize, putting more self-care in the routine. Now you're going to feel, again, spontaneous in the home life living situation. But there might be some responsibilities or some, duties that you kind of have to assume that you weren't really expecting that you had to take care of. It's kind of like, oh, I want to buy a house with a pool, but then you get a pool and you got to take care of that thing. You got to clean that thing. There's some unintended responsibilities that I don't think are going to be as fun, but it doesn't look, it's, you know, it's the price of the cool spontaneous thing that you did. And as we start the last week of April, you kind of you get a solution figured out. Things really end up working out with that home living situation stuff. It's just, you know, there's just some responsibilities you got to take on, and there's can be kind of a stalemate, but it's good overall, right? It's not as bad. I mean, right now you're taking on more responsibilities and you're really like coming into a much more mature version of yourself right now. So this is kind of part of that in a sense, a new challenge with that. But as we close out April, we close it out with the full moon in Scorpio. This full moon is really going to be highlighting your career. But most importantly, it's going to be really about what do you need to hold on to and what do you need to let go of. With all of this focus on your home life and your living situation, not to mention, you're also still focused on your habits, your routines, and there's, you know, you're not going to be able to, I think, get as much done. I think you're going to be very active, but only focusing on the necessities. I think this is a time to go like, okay, what time are you wasting with work? Like, what can you be more efficient at? Especially with the 10th, especially with, you know, this career stuff for you, it's really about, you know, what needs to be released and what do you need to hold on to. And I think you're going to have this kind of electric feeling. You're going to be kind of like, you know, on edge a little bit, but like in a fun way, like in a risky way. However, this is much more focused on like, you know, you may not want to cut some of this stuff off. You may not want to change some of it, but it's also for the best. Like, again, there's this really big prioritization with, you know, only doing what you need to do, taking care of, you know, yourself on a physical level, a habitual level, making sure that the labor that you do too, when it comes to your work, like you have the, you know, the energy for that. Like you can't, you know, expect to put 100% into your work if you're only getting 5 hours of sleep a night. Right. But that's really the month of April. The month of April is kind of weird for you guys. Things kind of get much more personal, much more, you know, family oriented for one, but the beginning of it with all of the transits and Aries that are happening, you're just going to be much more, you know, kind of connecting the dots, right? Like, how can I be, you know, more direct? How can I be more efficient? How can I be, you know, more clear with my communication? How can I do, you know, take more action, right? How can I improve on just the little things, like really how you're interacting with your environment? It's kind of like overall stuff in your life. But then by the end of the month, I mean, it really just, everything kind of turns into a career oriented, you know, focus with the full moon. But again, the biggest thing is you're making some changes. And, I think that's the biggest thing to really look at with, April for you guys. So with that being said, thank you guys so much for being here, liking, sharing, and subscribing. I love it. Appreciate every single one of you. And I'll be seeing you next month.